This is Phoebe Green and the Locker of Destiny, and we're reading Chapter 19, Perivale Promise. Tech teacher Miss Valetti had a short, dark bob and big brown eyes. She wore chunky bangles which clattered as she demonstrated the tools in the art block. She spoke in an Italian accent with plenty of extra R's thrown in. This I will not do. Some evenings the girls took turns to do impressions of their teachers. But mimicking Miss Valetti, or Spaghetti as they unkindly named her, was too easy to be taken seriously. "Mamma mia," Miss Valetti said, "why you make a coffin?" "It's a box for our lacrosse sticks," Phoebe said. "It's too big, no?" Miss Valetti said, examining the plans. "This will use all of my wood." "But we're making it as a group," Phoebe said. "Me, Alice and Jade. It has to be big enough to store all of our lacrosse sticks and our trainers." Okay, she said. The girls picked out a sheet of plywood from the storeroom and hauled it up onto a workbench. They marked it out with tape measure and a chunky square pencil. Phoebe climbed onto the workbench and sawed along the line as best she could. "Phoebes, are you sure this is going to work?" Alice asked. The locker, I mean, not the saw. "Of course I'm not sure," Phoebe said. Her face was red from sawing, even though she'd only made it through a quarter of the length. "This is my first time being trapped in the past, but I have to do something." "I think you should get in the exact same spot at the exact same time," Jade said. "There might be some cosmic energy in the corridor, stars aligning, or something like that." "Great idea," Phoebe said. She jumped down from the bench and handed the saw to Jade, who took her turn to cut. "I don't think you should get up at midnight and leave the dorm. Chloe sleeps with one eye open," Alice warned. A rift had grown in the girls' dorm. On one side, Phoebe, Jade and Alice were firmly in Time Travel Club. They spent every spare hour brainstorming how Phoebe could be transported back to 2025. On the other side were Chloe and Megan, who were increasingly embarrassed by talk of the future. To the twins, it was a joke that they had heard too many times. "You know they call us the babies," Alice said. "I heard them say it last night." "Why?" asked Phoebe. "Because they were born in 1983. They're old for the year. Megan and Chloe are 12 next week. And we three, we have birthdays after January in 1984. "Well, I was born in 2014. I'm not even a baby yet," Phoebe said sadly. "From now on, let's keep this stuff secret. It will make my life easier if they don't tease me." Miss Valetti came over and watched Jade, crouched on top of the workbench, thrusting the saw forward and back. The cut was nearly all the way through, and the plywood flapped around as Jade sawed. "You need to hold this like this," Miss Valetti said to Alice and Phoebe, "or the wood will snap is ugly." Alice and Phoebe did as they were told, and when Jade drew the fine-toothed saw through for the final time, the remaining rectangle of wood swung down and bashed into the girls' knees. "One down, 3 to go," Phoebe said excitedly. She set the piece they'd cut onto the workshop floor and lay it face up. Feeling the sharp edges around her shoulders, she said it was just wide enough for her. "This is it," she said. "The locker is going to take me home. I can feel it." With sawdust all over her back and in her hair, Phoebe marked out the next line on the sheet of wood. Full of energy, she climbed onto the bench and started sawing the second cut. Around halfway through, her arm ached and she had to go stand by a window to cool down. "You have sawdust on your tights," Alice said. "Locker of dusty knees, innit?" said Jade excitedly. The girls took the opportunity to look at the other things being made. A girl from an older year was making a rack for her CD collection. "What's a CD?" Phoebe asked. Alice put her hands on Phoebe's shoulders and gently escorted her away. "You can't ask people things like that," she whispered. "Why not?" Phoebe said. She pinched the fabric of her shirt and pulled it away from her chest, flapping it to cool off. "Because people don't like it when you talk to them about the future. They think you're playing a prank on them," Alice said. Phoebe nodded. "CD means compact disc," Jade said. Phoebe looked at her, waiting for more. She'd never heard of it. "You know, a plastic circle as thin as cardboard. You put it in a CD player and your music plays. Unless it's scratched, in which case it skips." "Oh, I see," Phoebe said. "I think they've gone away. We have DVDs, which sounds like the same thing but for movies, but those have almost gone away now too." "Where's everything gone?" Alice asked. "I don't know," Phoebe said. "It's just gone. I have a little speaker in my bedroom, and if I want to listen to a song, I say, 'Alexa, play Taylor Swift,' and the music comes out." Phoebe ushered the group back to their workbench, eager to finish their second cut before the woodwork session was over. "But how does Taylor Swift get into this little speaker?" Alice asked. "She just does," Phoebe said. "Swims through the wires or something. Every song in the world ever written is in there. It must be enormous, Alice said. Phoebe connected the tips of her index fingers and thumbs to make a circle. It's the shape of a tin of beans, she said. But the beans are albums? Jade said. I suppose so, but nobody talks about albums anymore. Songs are jumbled up into playlists. Jade's eyes lit up. So playlists are like mixtapes, she said. Me and my brothers make them on cassettes. We record songs off the radio and try and hit stop before the DJ starts talking. She explained what a cassette tape was and how she sometimes had to use a pencil to wind a ribbon of tape back into its plastic housing. The idea of a smart speaker blew her mind. The thing is, Phoebe said, I don't think I should tell you too much about the future. Why not? Jade asked. 2025 sounds wicked, mate. I want to listen to Taylor Swift. Because it might mess everything up, Phoebe said. Now you know that voice-activated speakers are going to be huge in 2025. What if you dedicate your life to them and you study maths and computing and you build a speaker company, and instead of saying Alexa, we're saying Alice, play Taylor Swift? That sounds great, Alice said, doesn't it? Phoebe was back on the bench, her knee pressed into the sheet of wood and her arm yanking the sword forward and back. She stopped every few strokes to reply. Maybe, maybe not. What if you become a billionaire, but you're desperately lonely? You can't relate to any of your friends because you're out on your yacht and they just want your money, and I've ruined your life. It's all my fault for telling you about the magic tin of beans that plays music. Phoebe, you worry too much, Alice said. Perivale School for Girls is simply not cut out to turn any of us into computer geniuses. They literally still have typewriters. Their only ambition is to turn us into housewives. I might invent a new type of quiche, but don't worry about me contributing something meaningful to society. Never going to happen. Perivale promise? Phoebe said. Perivale promise. The two girls hooked their little fingers together as Alice assured Phoebe that she would never amount to anything. It gave Phoebe some reassurance, but it also perplexed her. How was it that her own mother would attend Perivale in this era and become such a gifted engineer that she ended up running a Formula One racing team? It didn't make sense. But still, one problem at a time. At least she didn't have to worry about Alice.